will experience the fulfillment and growth that comes through healthy relationships. We're wired for relationships, so tune in and join with me as I explore and discuss tools for healthy relationships every Monday, 12:15 p.m. on Isaac 98.1 FM.
All right, guys, so standing by, I've got the beautiful Petreece Cuffie. Petreece, so welcome back and good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Tiffany, and good afternoon to all our viewers and listeners. And this is part 2 of 10 things you should know about confrontation. And I stopped at number 9. So I want to start there and then I will recap. And of course, anything you missed, you can go on to YouTube, FBN TV, and check out those 10 things that you should know about confrontation. And what I would have dealt with in the last program in part 1 is what is confrontation, why we avoid confrontation, how do you know when it's time to confront, 4, the things to do when planning a confrontation, 5, where to use confrontation, 6, guidelines for confrontation, 7, confrontation in marriage, 8, tips for confronting your spouse. And I stop there and we're dealing with number 9, tips for confronting a friend, and 10, questions to ask to continue to get better at the skill of confrontation and also overcoming your fear of confrontation. All right, so if you are just tuning in, happy to have you viewing, listening. We're looking at 10 things you should know about confrontation, part 2. But of course, I'll just start with what is confrontation, and it comes from that Latin root word, and I hope I'm saying it correct, confrontare, right? Which means to stand face to face with. And as I say to clients, confronting is bringing something to the front that a person may not see or they just don't see. So I want the relationship to be better, and I am bringing this to the front. Confrontation is not a verbal hit and miss. So I just need to give you a piece of my mind and to tell you what's on my heart. And when I tell you I'm out, I'm gone. That is not confrontation. That is a verbal. It's like a car bouncing down and then they drive off. It's a verbal hit and run, right? So those things are not confrontation. So I'm starting at number 9, which is tips for confronting a friend. So let me see how many tips I have here. I have 4 tips, right, for confronting a friend. The first thing, of course, you want to think on it. Before you confront your friend, think about the situation. Have you truly been treated badly? So you know, is it that this person, what they did, was this really horrible, or just like a human thing and there's something with me? Is there anything else that might be contributing to your emotion? So this is the whole issue of being self-aware. So all of these things you're thinking about, right? Bounce the situation of a trusted friend who has no agenda other than to explore it. You know, sometimes you can talk to a very good friend and they, as we say in Trinidad and Tobago, they drinking bush medicine for your fever. So you talk to a friend and instead of them being objective, they're just concerned that somebody hurt my friend and this is not good. Let us just deal with this. No, you want to talk to someone who has no agenda other than 2 people having a healthy relationship and you being able to explore the issue with them, right? So take some time to understand your feelings. If you still feel the same, you are probably onto something. It is possible that a confrontation is necessary, but you want to always, number 1, think on it. Number 2, consider the triggers. If you decide that you are being wronged and you wish to speak up, think about the situations and encounters with the person that tend to upset you. So you're thinking about those triggers. What usually triggers you? How do you feel when they upset you? And this is very important because in confronting, you always want to use I statements, not you statements. Do you get a sensation of feeling hot or tight in the chest? It is important to explore this because when you confront them, you need to be prepared to do so calmly and rationally. And confronting can be emotionally upsetting or emotionally triggering. And you really want to be as calm as can be. So you want to know how am I really feeling about that situation, and also how you feel about confronting. If you choose to speak up when you are feeling emotional, you may undermine your point. So you really don't want to do a confrontation when you're feeling very upset or very sad or very distressed, right? Be aware of the triggers within yourself so that you can feel them without letting them control you. So you know what you're feeling and you know, okay, that is just a feeling. This is how I'm going to think and behave. So it's like me because I'm very sensitive to tone of voice and words, and I'm aware of that because words of affirmation is one of my love languages. And therefore, when persons are speaking to me, and it may be not so much harsh, but there's a sternness to it, or sometimes even a harshness, I am aware, Petreece, this is impacting you. This is how you're feeling, but you can respond and speak in a way that is not, I'm not lashing back out at you. I'm not upset. I'm not speaking to you in an upset way because I know why I am being triggered like that. And it may not necessarily be the person. Yeah. And this is important. So you need to be able to know what your triggers are, know what you're feeling, even during the conversation. And once you could know what you're feeling, you're better able to respond from a place of love, a place of control, than react, right? The calmer you are, the less likely you are to appear irrational or even melodramatic. So it's important to know your triggers. Self-awareness again. Number 3, set reasonable expectations. Before you approach the individual, be prepared for the possibility that you will say your piece and they may disagree with you, right? If you go into this with this expectation, if you go into, with a confrontation, with an expectation of an apology or an acknowledgement of them being wrong, you may feel like speaking your mind, saying what you had to say did not work. Remember, you are standing up for yourself to be true to yourself. That is the important part, which means you need to be open to the potential consequences. You need to know how you will respond if things don't go as you hoped it would. And I think you also need to be prepared for new information, to hear things about yourself that may cause you to reconsider your position. So you go into it with reasonable expectations. You may think, okay, I'm doing this confrontation and this person will just apologize or say, wow, I didn't realize that I hurt you like that. And it may not be that at all. So go into a confrontation, always being open to hear things that you probably didn't consider. And that's why even in doing a confrontation, saying, I feel so and so when you do so and so, but I really would like to understand how you see it. Because a confrontation is to help a relationship to become better, which means I am going into it wanting to hear from the other person, wanting to know what is happening in that other person's emotional world, right? So be prepared for new information. Enter the situation with an open heart, a desire to communicate clearly, and a willingness to find a resolution if possible. So, thinking on it, first of all, consider your triggers. Number three, set reasonable expectations. Know that you could hear things about yourself that you didn't expect, right? Because it's a relationship, it's a dance. We both impacting each other. And number four, choose your words carefully. Know what you're going to say in advance. Be honest and straightforward. Focus on precisely what happened that has upset you and explain your reasons. Don't go and pull up all kind of other information to add. Be precise. These are the things, these are the behaviors that have been impacting our relationship negatively, impacting me negatively. Listen to their response. So this is choosing your words carefully. Listen to their response. If they are willing to engage you on it, be open to this. Perhaps there is something for you to learn. And I think there's generally always something for us to learn about ourselves because we have a blind self. There are things that we say and do that we don't realize hurt and offend people from time to time. Not easy to hear, but necessary if we have to grow, right? So if they respond with anger or aggression, be gentle but firm in your position. And if you're like me and a person responding to you with anger and aggression, those tones could really impact me. I know why I'm being impacted. It's because of the tone. So I can stay calm. I can stay firm in my position. Remember, this is an opportunity to stand up for yourself. You're confronting because you matter, because you are important, because what you are doing is harming you in some way. What they are doing is harming you in some way. It's harming the relationship in some way. And you want the relationship to be better. You want the relationship to grow. You will feel proud of yourself if you can be clear and honest, even if the outcome is not what you hoped it will be. And I've had to confront people, as I said, I would have done some confrontations, not good, and I'm aware of that. But I would have also done some that were very healthy. And even where I did not get the outcome that I hoped, I must admit, I really felt good about the fact that I said what I said, that I shared what I shared, right? Relationships can be difficult. And I can empathize with the pain, the worry, the anxiety you may feel when communicating your needs to someone you care about. Yes, it can be tough, even where this is a relationship, a friendship, where we care about the person. Confronting is not an easy thing, right? It may feel like an impossible challenge, but remember, take the necessary time to learn how to handle conflict well. It is one of the most important relational skills you will ever need. Managing conflict and confrontation is one of the aspects in managing conflict in relationships. So that was number 9, tips on confronting a friend. So think about it. Number 1. 2, consider the triggers. 3, set reasonable expectations. It's not always going to go how you think. So have realistic expectations. You may learn things about you that you didn't know. Number 4, choose your words wisely. So number 10, questions to ask to continue to get better at confrontation. And part of getting better at confrontation is also overcoming your fear of confrontation. So some of us are confrontation adverse, right? Think back to a confrontation that did not go well. Can you determine whether more attention to one or more of the suggestions below could make it more fruitful, a much more fruitful discussion, right? And I'll give those questions. But one of the things we have to do is pray for the courage to confront and the love, because we confront because we love the person and we care about the relationship. Confrontation is driven by love, and love is action that leads to wholeness. I'm doing this because I genuinely want you to be better. I genuinely want us to be better, right? And also self-awareness. So you're praying for the courage to confront, for the love, right? Jesus confronted, right, many people in the Gospels, right? And the self-awareness to keep, those episodes of confrontation positive, and that they will contribute to the intimacy in your relationships and even the intimacy in your home. So what we want to be thinking about to continue to get better at the skill of confrontation, you want to reflect on, do you tend to confront without thinking? Do you tend to confront without thinking? Do you have trouble mustering the emotional energy to confront? Do you have trouble mustering the emotional energy to confront? Do you find that you confront too harshly or with too little force? So very timid. Does your current confrontation style work for you? Does your current confrontation style work for you? Are you usually happy with the results of your confrontation? So those are things to reflect on if you want to get better at the skill of confrontation. And in getting better at the skill, we have to deal with fears, right? And skillpath.com, they identified 6 ways to help you to get over the fear of confrontation. And I know just understanding what it is, that's a big deal, right? So the first thing is to identify the problem with being, and they say it this way, a pushover. So the first thing, way to help you get over the fear of confrontation is to identify the problems with being a pushover. Write down the problems you experience when you avoid confrontation. So you're doing some reflecting, and literally get out a piece of paper and write down the problems you experience because you are not confronting. What is happening to your relationships? What is happening to yourself? What happening to your inner peace, to your peace, right? List what you might gain by speaking up instead of avoiding. List what you might gain by speaking up instead of avoiding. So on the back so you're listing, first of all, the problems that you experience because you're avoiding confrontation. And then you want to write on the back of that same paper what you could achieve by speaking up. What are those positives? Your relationships might improve. Some problem might get solved. You might have more peace, right? Be specific about the things you stand to gain. So literally write, right? Number 2, recognize your assumptions about confrontation. So we have assumptions about confrontation. Things like confrontation is bad, right? Telling someone I disagree with them will ruin our relationship. These things only fuel fear, right? Confrontation means that I'm a hard person to get along with. Not true. In reality, confrontation is healthy. We need it. We need to clear the air in our relationships from time to time. It is healthy, right? There are many kind and assertive ways to speak up and express your opinion. And doing so might improve the situation more than you ever imagined. So recognize your assumptions about confrontation. Number 3, address one issue at a time. So new to this confrontation, Petreece, and I really want to give it a try. If there is just one person you tend to avoid confronting, choose one minor issue to address. Minor issue. It may be that they call you some name that you don't like, and I just want to share that with them, right? Don't pick the biggest problem, and don't bring up a lengthy list of items you don't like. Start small and see what happens. If you avoid speaking up to everyone around you, pick a safe person to confront first, right? Address something minor, and you'll increase your confidence in being assertive in other situations. So, somebody that you feel is mature, and you may have something that they may have done that start there, and you can even tell them, after, I'm practicing my skill of confronting, and I used you because I felt you could handle it, right? To increase that, to get better at that skill. Number 4, stick to I statements and work on staying calm. And we talk about these I statements. At the heart of all good communication is the ability to stick to I statements rather than saying you are, right? You are arrogant and you never even bother to show up on time. You say, I am concerned about the way in which you interact with the children, and I feel disrespected when you arrive late. You statements, that's not a statement, but you comes across as aggressive, and we don't want to be aggressive. We want to be assertive. So we use I statements. And of course, keep on practicing, right? Confronting someone is more of an art than a science. So even though I'm giving you all these tips, you have to see what works best for you. But not only that, what may work with one person, we have to tweak with another person, right? So what works well for you? With practice, you will be able to recognize when to speak up and how to do it, and the best way to effectively express yourself. So it's more of an art than a science. It's not going to be, I'm not sure if you can draw the same thing the same way all the time, right? So for each person, it may be a little different, but the underlying principles remain the same. So preparing, so you're overcoming that fear of confrontation, and you prepare for constructive confrontation. Why are we having this conversation? That's part of the preparation. Why am I doing this? What do I hope to achieve? Is my goal supportive of the other person, or just trying to get back at them or punish them for something? Of course, we know the goal has to be out of love, out of wanting the situation, the relationship to be better. What are my assumptions about the other person, even the other person's goal for this conversation? So we have to look at that. How am I seeing this other person? And a lot of times, if we see the other person as doing things for spite or doing things intentional, that will not help us in confronting. Am I emotionally prepared for this meeting, prepared for this confrontation? And generally, you want to do a confrontation face-to-face. Face-to-face, meaning I want to be able to see the person. So even if it is not face-to-face as in physical, face-to-face, we physically in the same place, you want to be able to have some kind of video, so we at least face-to-face and I can see, right? So am I emotionally prepared for this meeting? What feelings are being triggered by this situation? And how does my history explain those triggers? So sometimes it's important, as self-awareness is just so important. Understanding, why is this impacting me like this? And sometimes it's good to be able to share that. And the person understands, okay, I can see why this isn't affecting you like this, right? Another thing, we're preparing for a confrontation. How is my attitude about the impending conversation influencing my approach to it? Can I focus on the good that could come out from this rather than worrying about the negative? So if I am my attitude is like, oh, this is not going to go good. This person, I don't know if they can handle this. This is making no sense. We can understand where we'll end up. What do I know about the other person? You want to think about that. What could he or she want? And what are his or her fears? What do I know about the person that I'm going to confront? Could I make this person, feel comfortable in this conversation? Feel like a partner instead of feeling like an adversary or somebody. They have to come in there and defend themselves. What are my fears? Do we have common concerns? The person I'm confronting, do we have common concerns? And most times, if it's a friendship, it's a relationship, we do, right? What have I done so far to contribute to the problem at hand? So yes, I'm confronting about something that is harmful to me, to the relationship. But what is my part in this? What have I done that could have been harming, the relationship? What do I believe the other person has contributed to the problem? Because we're going in there not as if we're perfect. We could have done things too. We go in there knowing that we may need to apologize. We may be faced with things that we didn't realize was impacting the person, right? It would be best if you didn't confront others at times when you haven't done the necessary preparation for the confrontation. You haven't prayed about it. You haven't thought about it. And all these different things I'm sharing, you didn't think about, right? Emotions are too heightened for a rational discussion. So somebody very depressed or we upset, those are not times to confront, right? There isn't enough time to deal with the issues constructively. Don't confront someone if you don't have time to engage in a proper conversation, because it might end up being longer than you expected because of what may come out from it. So don't go and confront and I don't have a meeting in 10 minutes or have to go and pick up the children in 6 minutes, right? The incident was likely unintentional or a one-time thing. So I normally, if you see something once and I'm going to confront someone on that, I mean, nobody is always at 100%. We do things from time to time that can offend and hurt each other unintentionally, and it's not done over and over and over. So we don't confront if something was a one-off thing, right? If the battle isn't worth it, like there are some situations where you know enough about the person that this does not make sense. I need to put some boundaries here. I need to move away from this situation. I need to not engage with this person, because you realize confrontation, the person cannot hear, they cannot, and you decide, this battle isn't worth it. And then the two persons involved can't solve the problem by themselves. So, whatever that situation is, there needs to be a third or fourth or fifth party involved here. There need to be other people involved here, right? Most people have a fight or flight instinct when it comes to confrontation. So they either want to fight or they want to run away from it, right? And, that's okay. That's okay. Confronting is not the easiest thing, right? But there are times that we need to plow through it, right? And to tell that instinct, I am going to be assertive here. I'm not running and I'm not fighting. I'm going to be assertive. And there's something that I found from Henry Cloud, and I found it was just so profound. I really like it. So I said I'll share it, right? And I'll start with something that is said in the body of what he said. He says, loving confrontations protect us from our blindness and self-destructiveness. And this is Henry Cloud. He's done All Things Boundaries, right? Loving confrontation protects us from our blindness and self-destructiveness. And he said, God uses people not only to nurture us, but also to open our eyes to the sins, selfishness, and denial in us. Love also means saying, I hold this against you. And this is what Jesus said. And Jesus did, as Jesus did when he confronted the churches. And this is found in Revelation chapter 2, verse 4 and 14 and 20. Being confronted on character issues isn't pleasant. It hurts our self-image. It humbles us, but it doesn't harm us. Loving confrontations protect us from our blindness and self-destructiveness. And this is Henry Cloud from Safe People, How to Find Relationships That Are Good for You and Avoid Those That Aren't. And I found this such a useful statement. If we have to have healthy relationships, we have to be willing to deal with confrontation. We have to be willing to accept confrontations from people who love us, and we have to be willing to confront where we have been hurt. So just going back, a little recap of those 1 to 8, right? What is confrontation? Constructive confrontation invites a deepening of our relationship by one's willingness to talk about those things in the relationship that might be operating as barriers to intimacy and trust. So it is about letting a person know when they are doing something that you find offensive, or letting another person know when their behavior might be adversely affecting the relationship, right? Many of us would rather limit our interactions with loved ones, including friends, than confronting them. Why we avoid confrontation, that was number 2. The fear of offending, a friend, or potentially losing the friendship is a big reason why we avoid confrontation. So many of us have relationships, but they're very shallow, right? And we operating in this place where we don't want to say anything that might offend. So very, very shallow relationships. So Shanna Young shared 4 reasons why people avoid confrontation, and they are fear of failure. So they're afraid that if you confront, you might lose the relationship. Fear of harm, you're afraid that if I confront, the person may lash out in some way or get so aggressive. So your fear of harm. Fear of others' perceptions. So you are afraid that people will perceive you as being difficult or just confrontational. You have a fear of intimacy. If I confront, this person will know how I really feel and be in my head. So those are fears why we don't confront. How do you know when it's time to confront? If this issue is just not leaving you alone, you prayed about it and it just is there, right? We're playing over and over. Also, when someone is doing something continually that is causing harm to you, be it physical, emotional, spiritual, financial harm, you want to confront. And the thing to do, number 4, the thing to do when planning a confrontation, pray. Always start there. And sometimes when you pray, you may find it's not about the other person. There's an attitude adjustment that I need to make right? And I actually don't need to confront the person. But also, if you do need it, you are praying for, of course, God's guidance and his wisdom and his love to confront in a healthy way. Number 5, where to use confrontation. We use confrontation in resolving conflict and addressing issues, in improving communication, in protecting your well-being, in strengthening your relationship, in setting boundaries, in promoting accountability, in learning and growing, and to avoid unnecessary tension. Number 6, guidelines for confrontation. Number 1, start the conversation with a positive statement. I care about our relationship. Start with a positive statement. State how you feel rather than pointing a finger. This is, I feel so and so when this happens. I feel so and so when you do so and so. Be flexible. Allow for the possibility that you may not have it right. I might not have understood correctly, but this is how I experience it. This is how I feel, but I'm wondering if you're seeing this differently. Be flexible, right? Choose your words in a way that shows that you are on the same page. So you could outright say, I'm not attacking you. I want us to look at this together. If the other person begins to respond defensively, do not allow for that distraction from the current topic. You could say, I am glad to talk about that. Or you could even say, I could see how that can be painful. And I'm okay speaking about that. But could we stay focused? Could we just talk about this right now, please? Acknowledge your part in the problem. In relationships, nobody's perfect. So of course, all of us in relationships would have done things that would have hurt each other, right? So we are capable of sin, missteps, mistakes, right? Hurting others at any given time. So be willing, when you are doing a confrontation and the person brings up stuff, to acknowledge your part in the problem. Make your desired outcome clear. I would like us to come up with solutions that help us. So this is the outcome. I don't want this to continue. I would like this. Or my desire is that we can talk about an issue or disagree without yelling. You're saying what is your outcome and try to be as specific as possible. So can we agree that we will start working with a budget from Monday, God's willing? Try to be as specific as possible. And if you have done all that is necessary, right, in terms of having the confrontation and the person is not listening, they're still not responding, behaviors are not changing, then you need to set boundaries. That has to be a next step. I need to set boundaries so I can be okay. And number 7, we did confronting in marriage. And Jan Stevenson says, it is important. The important thing, is to do it in a way that brings reconciliation and understanding. The truth should never be seen as something to be afraid of, something that is going to be destructive, because the truth is the exact opposite to that. And as I said, the truth makes us free. So we need to use the truth in a loving way that can help to make us free. Don't underestimate your spouse's strength, especially when it comes to handling issues about him or her. A lot of times we don't confront in marriage because we say, I don't want to hurt him, I don't want to hurt her. But your spouse knows, isn't that something is happening in the relationship? They know there's some kind of undercurrent, that's some impact in the relationship. And they would feel much more loved and respected if you speak up about it, right? Confronting your spouse, number 3, with whatever issue you have can also be a sign that you trust them. You trust them in being able to handle anything together. And number 4, no one in a healthy marriage can honestly claim that they have never disagreed with their spouse and that there is no need for confrontation. All marriages, if they have to be healthy, there must be confrontation. Why? Number 5, every relationship needs the air cleared from time to time. And confrontation is one of those ways of clearing the air. And the last one, number 8, which was tips for confronting your spouse. And this is from Dennis Rainey from FamilyLife.com. Check your motivation. Always check your heart. Why am I doing this? Check your attitude. Loving confrontation says, I care about you, I respect you, I want you to respect me. I want to know how you feel. Check the circumstances. This includes timing, location, and setting. Check to see if check to see what other pressures may be present. What is the context of your spouse's life right now? Listen to your spouse. So I'm confronting my spouse, but I'm listening to my spouse. I want to understand. Be sure you are ready to take it as good as you could give it, because we're not perfect. We might be doing things here that impacting the person, right? During the discussion, stick to one issue at a time. Focus on the problem rather than the person. So you might say the person is a spendthrift, but the reality is we have no budget. So this is one of the things we need to do, right? Focus on behavior rather than character. This is when we're talking about the you messages and the I messages. I use I messages. We're focusing on behavior. Focus on the facts, rather than judging motives. I know you don't care about me. No, what are the facts? You came home late without calling. You told me you would do X, Y, and Z and you didn't do it. Focus on the facts. Above all, focus on understanding your spouse and not on who is winning or losing. Because as I say, in a marriage, if one winning and one losing, we're both losing. Stephanie, finished. Turn it back over to you.
Hey, Petreece. All right, nice. So let me see. 2 minutes on the clock. I still like to give persons a chance to call in if they wish. All right, so the phone lines are open, 622-1981, 628-1981. If you have a question for Petreece, feel free to send it in, or you can send a WhatsApp at 275-1981. All right. So I have the lines open just in case. All right, Petreece. So guys, if you're listening, that one, this is healthy relationships. All right, 10 things you should know about confrontation part 2. And as Petreece said, they are all on YouTube. That's FVN TV on YouTube and Isaac the Promise on Facebook. All right, so no calls at this time, Petreece. So do you want to give some closing remarks and then we close off for today?
Yes. So my closing remarks are back to that quote from Henry Cloud: loving confrontation protects us from our blindness and self-destructiveness. Or I want you to see if somebody is willing to confront you on something and in a loving way, they truly care about you. They love you, right? Also, please, if you're confronting someone, be open to the fact that you don't have all the facts. Be open to the fact that you may be doing something also that is harming the relationship, right? So I really pray that this program would have, this 2-part program would have impacted us, because this is a skill, oh my goodness, many of us need to work on. Many of us need to have a handle on for healthy relationships.
Thank you once again, Petreece. And I'm giving a number if you wish to send Petreece a message. It's a message-only number. The number is 329-7383. 329-7383. Once again, Petreece, thank you. We appreciate you.
You're
thank
welcome.
you for your labor of love.
Yes.
And God bless you until we meet again. Have a great one.
All right. God bless you. God bless everyone. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm am Petreece Cuffie, counselor and trainer, and one of my deepest desires is to see people experience the fulfillment and growth that comes through healthy relationships. We're wired for relationships, so tune in and join with me as I explore and discuss tools for healthy relationships every Monday, 12:15 p.m. on Isaac 98.1 FM.
Isaac 98.